Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 7:37 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States, the beautiful United States, where none of those particular details matter because it is us, the Final Fantasy Wiki, talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Not Part 1, just Remake, even though you were $60 only gets you about the first 10 hours of the original, etc., etc. My name is Eric, but sometimes I go by Blue Highwind, and here's the other three guys.
My name is Coda, but sometimes I go by Skaith Mode.
Hi, Skaithmo.
Hi.
How about the other two guys?
I'm Some Color Mage, and sometimes I go by Some Color Mage. There is a spelling difference there, it's very important.
Some Color Mage is your Christian name.
Yo, this is Joe, but sometimes I go by Techno Obliterator. My name is the most unexciting fucking name ever, and it's not that I don't want you to know my real life name, it's just my real life name fucking sucks.
Okay, I think Techno Obliterator, it's not a bad rap name, I think. I think it's the most
let's agree
marketable.
to disagree and move on.
Okay. Alright, so...
So you either have XXX, Techno Obliterator, XXX.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I think if you removed a few letters, like a few vowels, it might actually be a halfway decent rap name. Anyway, so Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. It came out in April, and this is going to get released in June. But luckily, in the meantime, there's not been a single video game. It's been 3 months of absolutely nothing. So it may seem like we're late, but really we're on time as long as we beat The Last of Us 2 release.
But we're really starved out of here. It's been nothing. Like the Xenoblade Switch port only came out like 3 days ago.
There was an Amazon game that no one liked.
There's been literally nothing else.
Yeah, something called Valorant. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not playing that, so don't worry. I've been reading this month, actually, instead of playing video games. So anyway...
The other thing I'll say is, like, in the 2 months, we've had a lot more time to, like, think about, you know, how things are going with the next game. You know, we've had time for, like, the ending to settle in. We've had a lot more information has come out since. So this is the perfect time, really.
Yeah, so our opinions have matured. This is the most seasoned and, you know, like... well-grown opinions. All those other opinions, those are rash. The ones that got them out in time for people to care. Just ignore those. Pointless. They are all fools. We're the ones that really thought about it. We've been in the thinking chamber for 3 months, coming out with the best takes. By the way,
Lost for Kings.
Yes. We've all beaten this game by now, right?
Yeah.
I've beaten this game, and I've been spending the last few months working on the wiki endlessly for it, writing guides for it, so I know it in and out by now.
Okay. Did any of us 100% it?
Anything.
Almost.
No, I mean, I've done everything you can do in a single playthrough, but I haven't started hard mode.
Okay, I have not done that either. I don't know, the super boss just didn't seem all that interesting to me, so whatever.
The super boss is really challenging, but it's really rewarding. Isn't
the most challenging part of the super boss getting there in the first place, because it's that fucking summon gauntlet, and then Bahamut summons Ifrit because fuck you.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
This is, like, we're already ignoring the vague structure we said we were going to have, but the Materia Kid never gave me the option to fight Leviathan or Bahamut, so I never actually did any of those. No.
I'm pretty sure it's based on finishing his quests. Like they come in groups, and each group after the first one or two has a summon attached.
Well, I didn't actually read what his quests were. I just assumed I would do them, and I guess I didn't.
You have to use the terrible refocus materia.
I don't think I ever even...
materia is really good. Right.
Is it really good? I thought it was terrible.
Is that the one? That's the one that gives you limit breaks right at the start, right?
Yeah, so it's the one that, like, it turns your ATB bars into 3.
Oh, yeah, that one, I never got that.
Yeah,
But
so what's
that seems
good
like that
about
would be
it?
really, really overpowered.
Yeah,
It's
so
good.
what's
I
good
never
about
tried it
it?
actually.
Yeah, basically what's good about it is that like as well as giving you a third bar, it also increases the rate that your ATB gauge fills up. So basically it means like you use it on Tifa and then you spam her abilities like endlessly and then you just wreck face completely because like her combos build stuff up like ridiculously quick.
Yeah,
Another
and
good way
like
to use
every
it is on
character
Barrett.
has an absurd strategy that can be used with refocus. Like,
Oh yeah, all of them
Barrett's
do.
whole thing being able to dump his entire ATB bar into a single attack, they become a lot more powerful when you can dump 3 bars into them.
Okay,
I
so
know nothing.
I also never got the whatchamacallit? There's like a counter materia, not a counter materia, like a good dodge.
A deadly dodge?
No, I got that. I think it's like a parry.
Parry.
Yeah,
Parry.
I never got that either.
Parry
Apparently,
is
Yeah,
decent.
I never used that because when I needed to actually base fighting around blocking shit, I have Cloud. So
yeah, Cloud has 2 natural parry abilities, which are pretty much all
With
you need by
Cloud,
the end game.
so with Cloud, the way you use the parry materia is basically you put him in Punisher mode, and normally in Punisher mode, if he does a dodge roll, it immediately gets him out of Punisher mode. But with parry materia, he stays in Punisher while he can do dodge. So basically, it means that it increases his mobility, which is his big problem of being in Punisher mode. But the way I used parry materia was again on Tifa just to slide around the place and like kick enemies so you keep them airborne the whole time. So like you use the whirling uppercut, put them up in the air, and then you use parry to slide around all the place, keep them up in the air, and then you just beat the shit out of them. So that's how I used that. But anyway,
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to any kind of level of focus, which is that I guess we all like this game, right?
Yeah, this game's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
anyway, as we've probably just proven, there's a lot of good and interesting gameplay.
Yeah,
okay,
this is probably the best Square Enix video game that's not Kingdom Hearts since Final Fantasy 12. Oh wait, Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's the best.
Well, Nier
Um,
Automata is.
It's the
was
best
Nier
Final
Automata
Fantasy
Square?
game since Final
Yeah,
Fantasy 12.
Yeah, it's definitely the best Final Fantasy game since Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah.
yeah, was Neo Automata, was that a Square Enix like in-house?
No, that was
That was,
Platinum Games,
Platinum.
but Square
Oh,
Enix
okay.
produced and supported somehow and paid for it. So they deserve the credit for that.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, this game almost was Tri-Ace back in the day. There's a whole sad story of how this thing ever came to
Oh yeah,
happen,
the whole
so-
Cyber Connect bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was originally announced in 2015, right?
And then Nomura immediately went and said they announced it too early because,
Yeah.
2010
Yeah.
Square Enix.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you look at the E3 trailer that we got, or not, oh no, it wasn't the E3 trailer. It was like the end of the year trailer that we got in 2015. The game has changed quite significantly since then. Like the lighting is totally different. The character models are a lot better, and they're not using the Advent Children voice actors anymore.
Oh, they used the Advent Children voice actors in that original
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the
trailer?
first trailer we got.
Oh, wow.
And so like if you notice like the dialogue is slightly different, but it's still like you can tell that they're translating from whatever the same Japanese script was, but the dialogue lines are different. So like for instance, in the E3 not E3, the trailer that we got, Barrett's like, "We paid you more than a few gil. You best be worth it." But then in the final game, we got, "You better be worth the money, Merc, every last gil." So it's like they slightly changed it up.
Yeah, but that 2015 trailer was based on a video game that was never finished. I mean, I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Apparently, Tri-Ace's version was unacceptable for Square Enix's needs. I have no opinion on it because no one will ever play it and no one will ever get to see it. Tri-Ace has made some good video games in the past, but going further back, the real Final Fantasy VII Remake story begins with the E3 demo back in 2005, where they showed off the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Decided to go and show what Final Fantasy VII would look like with HD graphics, and that kind of set a fire going in the fan base that just would not let go. It's just every single...
Go back. if you go back even further than that, there was a time when they were saying like all the PS1 games we made, we want to remake them on PS2, and that obviously never happened.
That was
I mean,
They
that was
can- they
before
can still do
my
it.
time at
way
that
too
point.
fucking
Yeah.
ambitious even for PS2
Yeah.
era Square.
Right.
I wasn't even playing Final Fantasy games back then, so I don't remember that bit. I do
Yeah.
remember though that every single time Square Enix would have an online countdown, they would mysteriously come around. It would always be a mobile game, or the best it ever was Final Fantasy, the DS one with the hats. Which one's that?
The Four Heroes of Light.
Yeah, the Four Heroes of Light, but I call it Final Fantasy with the hats. Anyway,
Yeah.
everyone always
good anyway, but it led to Bravely Default. So
yeah. But everyone wanted those countdowns to be Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's
so
what
we've
everyone
had a
always
bit more-
wanted.
We've had a bit more
that
information
fucking-
since then, like giving us a bit more context of what was happening behind the scenes. So what actually happened was while they were developing the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, they had 4 titles. The last one was going to be Crisis Core, and their plan originally at the time was they were going to have a 5th compilation title, and that was going to be a Final Fantasy VII Remake. So all the way back then, when they were still in Crisis Core mode, in Advent Children mode, etc., they had a remake planned at the time, but for whatever reason, presumably management issues or whatever, it didn't end up happening. So it was a
And
few years
thank
later.
God it didn't happen.
Yeah, back
Yeah,
then.
Because if it happened when it did, we would have gotten gacked.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
We still got gacked though.
We got gacked. Just so everyone knows, Dirge of Cerberus does end on a cliffhanger, which has never been brought up. It will never be continued. We'll never know what Genesis was planning. That also leads to another interesting wiggle to this, is what continuity the remake is in, because it vaguely fits into the additions that the compilation created. So, like, in the original Final Fantasy VII, there was only one team of Avalanche, as far as I know. It was just them.
Yeah.
They were the
Yeah.
one cell. In this one, there's a whole Avalanche army, which fits into Before Crisis.
But
also
it's
fits
also
into
like
Crisis because
changed
there's
even
the
further
assassination
from the
attempt.
compilation, because in Before Crisis / Crisis Core, the old Avalanche gets pretty much completely destroyed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so...
Because they fuck up big time. They try to summon some giant bullshit inside Midgar and get pretty much completely wiped out.
But
As
that's
you do.
how you do, though. That's how you do.
Yeah.
But also, there is a reference to G soldiers, leading back to
Yeah,
our
I'm
good
telling
friend
you, we still got
Genesis.
gacked.
We still got Gact is gonna show up. It'll
Yeah,
be
but
this-
he wasn't the only G model whatever soldier. So it could be Angel. We could still avoid Gact.
Oh, all right. No, but Genesis was. I don't remember Crisis Core all that well
No, but
anymore.
that doesn't matter.
It does not matter. I know there were Angeal had like his own kind of monster for whatever reason, but if anyone's wondering, Angeal is Zack to Cloud to Zack. So there is a dungeon that takes place in the deep ground. You just
Yes.
fall into the deep ground dungeon.
It's true. In the deep ground, yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody uploads himself to the internet in this game. Just do that, really.
I personally really like that dungeon. And I think I have more to say on like a lot of the character moments, and I'll probably get to those later. But in terms of like how this game fits in with the compilation, my plan, just so everyone is aware, is to actually go replay all the games of the compilation
Don't
and
do
then
that.
rewrite all the articles on the wiki for it. But as far as I can tell from what little I've done, it doesn't seem to directly contradict anything majorly. And from as far as interviews go, they've basically said, I think it was the writer who said, I think it was Nojima who said, like we were taking into account the other entries of the compilation when we were doing the remake, and we wanted to like make it fit in with that. But at the same time, like I don't think this is necessarily a continuation of the compilation. In like, it's not saying we're ignoring the original game and replacing the original game and now it's only going to be compilation stuff. It's more like this is this is an adaptation of the original game, and while we're adapting the original game, we're also taking into account the compilation, if that makes sense.
Well,
They also
Oh, sorry, you can go.
They also really lean into the Wu-Tai War thing, which was a pretty big deal in the compilation and not really a big deal in the original game at all.
Yeah, and like in the original 7, that war was already long over.
Yeah,
Like
but I mean, it was a big deal in the original. Well, it wasn't like a big deal, but it was a big enough deal in the original Final Fantasy VII that it explains what happened to Aerith's stepmom's husband. Ilfana?
Yeah.
Is her name Ilfana, or is that her real name?
Ilfana.
That's a real name. Her mother is Elfana.
Real mother's name? Then what's something Gainsborough? Damn it!
So
Oh.
Elmyra is
Elmyra. There you go. Thanks.
is the adoptive mom.
Adopted mom.
So we need to talk about the fact that Cloud's mother is named Claudia in this game. That's the worst part of this game, by the way.
Her name.
Yeah.
that's just by far the worst part.
You would rather her name still just be Cloud's mom?
Anything would be better.
I
Hello,
think
Mrs.
that one might have been a compilation timeline.
No, I don't. No, I wouldn't know that. That's definitely something new they added in. We should
they
probably
added her
clarify as well that this doesn't actually fit in with the regular Final Fantasy VII, so it is not just recreating the Final Fantasy VII story. And that becomes a very big plot point at the end of this when you end up literally fighting the god of continuity itself. In
Okay,
a
if we're
thoroughly
getting
baroque
spoilers
scene.
now.
Oh,
Alright,
yeah. No, we're 3 months past. Spoilers are happening.
we're far enough into this that we can just
Yeah,
stop.
I'm putting a spoiler warning in the episode title. So,
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine.
We're far
so
enough in. We're just in it.
So I think like the theory on that's kind of resonated most with me, and obviously there's not been like confirmation on this. The theory that's resonated most with me is the idea that the original Final Fantasy VII was actually just a vision Aerith saw in the live stream. Because if you notice at the very end, the final couple shots of that game, the original game, Aerith opens her eyes, she's surrounded by the green live stream stuff, and it looks like how the game starts. So how it starts with Aerith in Sector 8, she looks into the live stream a little bit and then walks out onto the streets of Midgar. The theory goes that what actually happens is she'd witnessed what was the original game's events, and then she goes out onto the streets of Midgar, the actual events take place, and the planets deployed the little plot ghosts thing to make sure those events happen as it is. But then Sephiroth's Sephiroth, because he's in the live stream as well, remember, because he was encased in crystal as we saw in the original, and Sephiroth's like, fuck that, I don't want to do that, I'm gonna destroy that because obviously that kills him. And Aerith's kind of like, this will kill me and it might kill the whole of humanity, but it will also save the planet. So she's kind of so that's why she's a little ambivalent about should we change the future or not, should we destroy the plot ghosts or not. So that's the theory I've seen that resonates most with me. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on
my
that.
theory is that this is more Evangelion I think everyone is, it's not even like a theory, this is just basically canon amongst the fan base at this point, that this is Evangelion rebuild, which is that everyone in this game is the same characters from the original. Their souls have somehow or another transmigrated here. Because Cloud has memories of the original Final Fantasy VII. He walks up to the pillar and he sees it blow up. Aerith and Sephiroth seem to explicitly, not in any way, they seem to explicitly remember what happened in the original Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
Yeah, Aerith and Sephiroth knows what's going on. Cloud sees a lot of stuff because, he constantly sees Aerith dying throughout the story. He constantly sees bits and pieces of that scene. Even before the big final battle with continuity itself, where it starts explicitly zapping everyone in the head with the events of the future. There are several moments where he sees things that are or are related to Aerith dying.
And those are all scenes from Advent Children, right? They not it seemed like they were explicitly the very same shots.
It looks like Advent Children.
It looked like it. Yeah.
I can't be 100% sure because I'm not rewatching Advent Children. Oh,
Don't do that to yourself.
by the way, to go back a few minutes to when Techno was saying that he was going to replay all of the compilation, how are you going to play Crisis Core? I mean, not Crisis Core, before Crisis.
I'm gonna like play a fan rebuild of it, presumably.
Is there a fan rebuild in that game?
I think so.
Okay.
And there's
worst case
definitely
scenario, I'll
a
just
translation
watch
of it somewhere, because we did once have cases of, I mean, not specifically a translation you can play, but it's obviously translated game material, because we did have one time on the wiki where someone was clearly uploading poorly edited images of Before Crisis translated into English.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there was a project at some point that was trying to do it. I don't know if they ever finished it. I do know the live stream has either the entire script or a summary of it.
It's been like 15 years. Someone's done something at this point, right?
Well, yeah, because there was a translation on a website. I don't remember the website's name at this point. That's what I used when I wrote the Before Crisis pages back in the day. Someone had translated the entire script, not in a great way, but doing God's work, playing Before Crisis.
Going back to the theorizing what's going on, I think the one theory that I completely 100% disagree with is the theory everyone has that this is just Advent Children Sephiroth has gone back and traveled in time, and this is all time travel nonsense. And the reason I disagree with that is, firstly, I think you're ignoring like a lot of the other like hints that come up in the game. Like, for instance, even if that explains how Sephiroth came back here, it doesn't explain how Aerith knows everything. And second of all, like, I mean, it just seems really fucking stupid, right? I mean, like, it just seems like such a fucking cop-out of a plot. And it just seems like everyone's jumped to this because they're like, oh, Nomura worked on Kingdom Hearts, so clearly Sephiroth is now Xehanort. It just, like, there's no real evidence for it beyond just people are really worried that that's what's going to happen, right?
Sephiroth has definitely ended up in a kind of like a Kaoru end of, Evangelion rebuild is something. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, if you consider all the fan art, then Kaoru is probably the correct choice there.
I'm just saying we're all worthy of Sephiroth's grace, okay?
Sephiroth once goes up to Cloud and says, "I'm your everything." I mean, that's just all I really wanted from the game. At that point, it's already 10
Oh, yeah. The scene where Sephiroth's like, "Come on, Cloud, accept me."
Yeah,
and then the best scene in the game is when Sephiroth shows up, and then Cloud like stumbles into him, and you see Sephiroth is 3 feet taller than him. Like Cloud falls into his nipples.
I am amazed that the entirety of VII Remake happened without Sephiroth getting his shirt off.
But his model does have nipples. We know that now.
Yep. I 100% believe Sephiroth is aware of the events and that he's all trying to like master manipulate it somehow. I just disagree that it's just that he's a time traveler, because it doesn't explain how Aerith knows things. It doesn't explain the plot ghosts. It doesn't there's just so much stuff it doesn't explain, and I just think that's a simplistic fan theory that everyone has knee-jerk jumped to, and so I happen to believe that it is the one I suggested, which is the one about the original game's plot was a vision by the planet, and that was just the planet telling Aerith, this is what you have to do to stop. This is what you have to do to stop Sephiroth destroying everything, right? And the other theory I have, right,
is this the stamp theory?
Not quite. So the other theory I have related to this.
I'll explain the stamp theory in a second then.
Yeah, okay, that's good. The other theory is basically that the reason why they're doing this, right? So the reason why they're now saying stuff like the unknown journey will continue and you destroyed the plot ghost and now we don't know what's going to happen next, is I think the story is going to mostly play out the same way, but the main divergence will be at the very, very end of it. So the original game's ending is very ambiguous as to what happens. So it's basically like the meteor doesn't destroy the planet. It's like the planet kind of stops the meteor from happening. and then you see a bit of an explosion, and there's a bit of like, did humanity die? Did they all survive? And then obviously Advent Children said, nah, they all survived. But my theory is basically what had actually happened is, if we go by the theory that the original game was a vision that Aerith saw, then what actually happened is humanity all died there. So what had happened was the planet had killed off humanity and said, humanity is the thing that was plaguing me the whole time. And what's going to happen is, now Aerith stopped that, is she said, maybe there's another way where humanity doesn't have to die, where we can stop Sephiroth and we can stop Meteor, and we don't have to kill everyone.
Okay.
See, I agree that it's going to continue normally until we hit a significant derail point, but I'm
Aerith's
convinced
definitely with the derail point.
yes,
Just putting
it's
it out
going
there.
to be City of the Ancients where it derails. And
Okay.
the game itself is being, I think, very clear about this. Like when Sephiroth is talking about the 7 seconds as City of the Ancients music playing, and also because this is at least partially a Nomura game, and he can't help himself from doing the long shot references. People timed it and found out that that Sephiroth's long fall into the shish kebabbing took 7 seconds. So
Yeah. It did? Okay.
yeah,
Huh. Is that the
Everything's
original
7.
cutscene or the Advent Children?
the original cutscene.
Okay. Well,
Like,
the Advent
you know
Children
this
didn't
is
do
the-
the whole thing in real time, though.
You know, this is the kind of weird long shot that Nomura can do. Will do. Like, what was it, 1 or 2 months ago in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, he finally linked that one weird room near the end of the first game back into the plot.
Well, he's done more than that since then. Turns out that Marluxia's robot is Strelitzia.
Oh
now.
yeah, also that. Yes.
Yeah, it's a Kingdom Hearts thing now. I should go and explain stamp theory. This is kind of where I come from on this. At the end of this game, somehow or another, they bring Zack back to life. The ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 is very weird.
And then they have a really terrible country song that's the price of freedom. Anyway.
It sounded like the price of freedom, but it wasn't quite. It was weird. So anyway, Zack comes back. Zack returns. Zack's back, baby. So Zack's
Final
back.
Fantasy VII, Zack returns.
Yeah, Zack returns. Final Fantasy VII.
All
All right, so Zack's back, baby, and in his world, like, by the way, they should have seen Zack if he's still in the same universe, but he's not with them. Because he's standing there and he finds like a bag of potato chips or something. And on it is our beloved friend Stamp, who is the marketing symbol of Avalanche, I think, or some kind of like
Shinra
It's a
military or
marketing,
something.
Yeah.
it's a Shinra marketing symbol, but then Avalanche kind of like took it.
Yeah, he's been redefined. They made him their own. But Stamp in whatever universe Zack is in is a different kind of dog than the one that is in ours, or at least the one that you're playing in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
So clearly Zack has ended up in some kind of alternate universe, possibly the one where Crisis Core happens. He's just alive again and can go on whatever adventure he's going to have. And then there's us in the Final Fantasy VII Remake universe. And then
Beagle Stamp universe.
yeah, the Beagle Stamp universe. It'll all be defined by what version of Stamp there is. And then there's the regular Final Fantasy VII, which I don't even know if Stamp's in that game. I don't remember him at all.
Stampless universe.
The Stampless universe, yeah. So, and as
we've
far as I can
got,
tell, that original universe is unchanged, and you can go and play Final Fantasy VII on your PlayStation 1, and
Or PlayStation 4.
or PlayStation 4, or Steam, or your Switch.
Yep.
God,
your
remember the
PSP.
reveal of the PlayStation 4 port of that, and then a few months later it turns out, oh, we were working on Remake the entire time. God fucking damn it, Square.
Yep.
Yeah. I would still play the original PlayStation 1 version if I had to, I think. I mean, the new versions kind of... They have, like, boosts, right? You can turn off random encounters. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can do stuff like that. You can set yourself to level 99.
But you could do that on an ISO in an emulator. That's how I would play it. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, stamp. So the original Final Fantasy VII, that's fine. And this leads me to another comment. If you don't like the changes in this, don't worry. It's an alternate universe. None of it matters. You still have your universe. Everything's fine. You can still live there in 1997, where Bill Clinton is still president and the Spice Girls either are the biggest thing in the world or soon will be.
So like,
My theory is this. All right. My theory
Okay,
is
go on,
the plot ghosts are actually the angry, belligerent fans who really want the game to be exactly the same as the original Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they've all been manifested in this game, and you kill them, and that's why those people don't like this game.
I don't
Look, we
think
had to get to
so.
that theory eventually.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I don't think that was like. I don't think that was the intention, but I think that's a fun interpretation of it.
because
I mean, I feel like in the general, writer allegorical level or something, it feels more like the writer's own reluctance to do something different, because they only really interfere when the plot is about to seriously derail. Like if we were going true fandom rage, they'd try and interfere the second chapter 3 started.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I guess I kind of lost track of what I was going to say.
I'm gonna
Plot
say.
ghosts stop you.
I'm gonna say plot ghosts being the fans is a little bit more belligerent than Final Fantasy has ever been towards the fan base. I just find that's a pretty negative position to take yourself with this thing, because one, it's not like, I mean, yes, fans have been clamoring forever for a Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it's not like Square Enix hasn't fed off that for decades now to go and make us buy Advent Children Complete and shit like that. And the other thing is... Yeah?
Also, I guess the final boss against the plot ghosts, and they basically resemble the remnants of Sephiroths, and why would the fans ever present themselves as that?
Yeah, no, we're not the remnants of Sephiroth. Also, I didn't think that was that at all. I thought they were supposed to be Cloud, Tifa, and Barret.
Yeah, some people have interpreted like that, but I think if you look at the weapons they wield, like you could interpret it like that, but it also, again, like it also is the weapons that Lars, Yazoo, and Kadaj use.
You know that Red is a Sephiroth's names on the top of your head? I'm proud of you.
I could remember Kadaj. That's it. As for the other two, I don't know.
They summon Bahamut as well, which is like a thing that happened in Advent Children.
Oh, you're right. They did do that.
But it was Neo Bahamut 0X.
Yeah, something like that.
Summoning
Wait,
Bahamut
no, that's a
is
user on the wiki.
Yeah. Summoning Bahamut is just that's like a level of graduation you need to get to be a serious Final Fantasy villain now, because Kylum did it. Kylus? Who the fuck's the Final Fantasy 13 2 bitch?
Nobody knows who that is.
Caius, not Kylum. Caius did it, and I think the bad guy in
Caius
Final Fantasy
summoned
15 did it.
No, he doesn't. Bahamut actually uses him.
Okay,
in
I'm
Final
not.
Fantasy 15.
Yeah, Bahamut turns out to be the actual overall villain of Final Fantasy 15,
Yeah,
but then the
which is
second season of DLC got cancelled
I don't give a
and turned into a book.
I don't give
Nobody
a
cares about the
fuck
DLC.
about
Nobody
Final
cares.
Fantasy 15. You know what? Actually, I might care a bit if we got that DLC, because that looked like the actual good stuff in the game. Everything else looked just fucking bland and boring. But then it's like, oh, here, this is the cool stuff. Nah, I quit before we're doing this. We're not doing that.
Yeah. So
No DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake has been announced, interestingly.
It hasn't been announced. They've announced that they are doing initiatives to increase the sales of the game overall. But then they specifically said after that, but any marketing strategy we do will not just be pricing. So that suggests to me it's just more marketing strategies.
Yeah, maybe they'll have, I don't know, extra side quests or something, but it doesn't look like any story DLC is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
No, hopefully they're going to make Final Fantasy VII 2 with the time of not doing that.
Or the Kairi game. Where's my Kairi Kingdom Hearts game? Come on.
So, I think related to the whole plot ghost discussion, like, should we talk about changes that we liked and that we didn't like? Because there's one change I really, really didn't like, and
I'm
everything else I really liked.
I'm curious what that is. Yeah, we could go through
what is
what our
that?
favorite
Yeah,
plot
what is that?
deviation is.
So the one change that I was really upset by and really, really didn't like, and this is the only one, right, is in near chapter, I think it's chapter 16, right, when you get to Hojo's place, and then you fought a specimen HO512. Is that how
Oh,
you
that
pronounce
boss
it?
sucked. I hated that fucking thing.
Yeah,
It
so
was so
it's
annoying.
like you fought the boss, and then Cloud confronts him, yeah, and then Hojo is like, "Oh, I remember you. You were never a soldier." And then the plot goes just take him away. I'm like, why the fuck would you reveal that? Like, that's so fucking stupid, right? Just let the new players experience this again and then find out when they find out. I just don't get why the fuck you would reveal that. That was the one thing that I really didn't like.
This kind of links back to my general theory of this game, which is that the plot ghosts aren't quite the fan base. It's more the writer's own memory of what they wrote. Because it's kind of like, all right, you're redoing the thing, but you can't undo the fact that you made this game 20 years ago. It's in your own head. You know what's happening. So every single time you write a scene, you have that already, poetic, what is it, like audience irony, poetic irony that Aerith is going to get stabbed at some point. So you have to go and put that in. And most of the people playing this either will know about Final Fantasy VII enough to know that twist, or have already played Final Fantasy VII. So that's how they're going and doing this. It's like your own expectations playing against what's being done in the narrative. It's like this meta-fiction soup of some kind.
Aerith's death is the rosebud of video games, basically.
It is, yeah.
Where even if you know nothing about the game, you know it.
It's that and Samus is a girl. Those are the two greatest twists in all video games.
So really, like, beyond that one change, like, I think I actually really liked everything else they did with it. I like that they gave Barrett his own dungeon and it takes place in Deep Ground. I thought that was really interesting. They maybe could have done more with it, but I thought it was fine.
Would you rather you wanted to fight Azul the Azulian or whatever his name?
Blue the blue, or red the red, or white the white.
Rosso the crimson. Such great characters like that.
I loved what they did in War Market. I thought that was excellent. Like how they changed the whole sequence up. I thought that was handled excellently. I wouldn't have done it any differently. I really quite liked that they actually gave that guy, the guy in Don Corneo's place. I kind of liked that they added a story about a guy who's been screwed over by Don Corneo. Because what they said
is that the guy with the anime hair?
Yeah, that's the one. Okay. But what they said was
the not Yuzora / not Noctis /
yeah. They said that they wanted to portray Don Corneo as like a mafia boss, which is why they gave him his people who do his dirty work for him, and why they had that guy that's been screwed over by him. So I thought that was a really nice change. I thought they handled that really well. I loved how all the characters were written, especially so. Every character I loved from the original, I love them even more now. So that's Tifa, Barrett, Aerith were always my favorite characters ever. They still are. They're handled so well. And oh my god, Britt Baron did such an amazing fucking performance as Tifa. She was excellent. I had to go and thank her myself. I sent her a message saying, thank you so much for doing so well. You were excellent, right? And then I had never cared for Cloud before this game. I really like him now. Right? I mean, Cloud is now one of my favorite protagonists. I really like him. I think they did an excellent job with him. It's I get him now. Same with Red 13, where in the original, he, to me, bored me. And now I kind of really like his banter with Barrett and stuff.
I agree. I think generally they did a really good job capturing the characters. This is the first 3D Cloud that I've ever thought, oh, this seems like Cloud from the game. All the other Clouds have seemed like Squall to me. They're just...
but not only that, for me, not only did they capture the original Cloud, but they made him I got it, if that makes sense. I was playing this, I'm I get why people like him now. Like it was a lot more compelling to me, personally.
Oh, I like the world of Final Fantasy Cloud, by the way. The tiny little cloud.
Yeah.
Tiny chibi cloud. We gotta throw props there.
As far as other changes go, like, I mean...
Does anyone else have changes they don't like?
There aren't many changes that I don't like. I mean, okay, I was kind of disappointed that the purple blood thing, but I get why they did that. Like, that's a ratings issue thing. Like, obviously they can't have the original scene. And I think, I didn't like the ending, but it's not because I thought the plot ghost thing was bad and that I don't like where they're going. I just thought we didn't need a Sephiroth fight in this one. I thought it was a bit unnecessary. But beyond that, like, I have no complaints, really. It's that one Hojo thing is the one thing that actually annoyed me, and everything else was great.
Okay. This can be kind of like our actual opinion of the game, because we haven't given that at any point, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Skaith, you want to give yours? I volunteered.
Sure. Thank you. I was just about to volunteer myself, of course, as we know. I actually, honestly, didn't have any problems really with any of the changes. Honestly, if you're going to write something 20 years later, you're going to change some of it just because it's been so long. You know, you have a different opinion about things. And I felt like I'd played the original game in a while. I mean, it's been probably 10 years since I played the original Final Fantasy VII. Which is still a good game. But I agree that they fleshed out the characters a lot more. That feels good. I mean, Cloud hasn't felt as... I think all the characters have been improved. I think Cloud is still kind of the same, but that's a good thing, because Cloud in the original game was much more interesting than he was in every other spin-off ever, where he's kind of turned into a weird void of a character.
He's Squall in all the other ones.
He's Squall, yeah.
Or Lightning, you know.
Yeah. But I agree, Red 13 is not a boring character anymore. I think Red 13 might only have 2 or 3 lines in the original game, as far as I can tell. I thought that, I mean, I guess we've touched on it a little bit. I thought the gameplay system's really good. It's like Final Fantasy 15 except good. The game is basically Final Fantasy 15 but good in some ways, in a lot of ways. But I actually didn't mind the ending. I kind of agree, actually, that the Sephiroth final boss goes a little bit... I mean, I could have just fought the Time Ghosts, and I feel like that's a fine final boss, but I guess they had composed One Winged Angel, and they needed to put it into the game at some point.
What are you going to release a Final Fantasy VII that doesn't have Sephiroth?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you can't really do it, right?
You had to put him in the game the way they did.
It's like releasing a Kingdom Hearts game about Sephiroth, except they did that.
Yeah, but that was not as good, wasn't it?
No, it was...
Yeah, but that was my problem, is I felt like he was only in there because they felt like they had to. It felt like he was there as an obligation when I don't think he was needed. That's me, personally.
I can kind of agree with that, but I also kind of agree with the obligation in some ways. I kind of feel both ways.
Yeah. It's like the change with the red blood, where, like, I don't like it that much, but I get it.
Some Color Mage, what's your opinion on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1?
Okay, well, I do also have a problem with the ending, but, like, it's not the content of it. I'm fine with the Sephiroth fight. I'm clearly fine with the big twist and everything. I love that stuff. My problem is that starting with Chapter 17, the pacing just completely falls apart. And I think most of it is the fault of that fucking Hojo dungeon.
Yeah, that dungeon's way too long.
Give the rest of Chapter 17 and 18 more time to actually do something. So yeah, that's my main problem with the story.
That's the only dungeon that I think is the only added dungeon I think is no good. I think all the other extra levels they added into the game were pretty good, actually. Generally speaking, like the Jesse.
I'll get to my opinion on that in a second.
Yeah,
the Jesse level a lot, actually.
I love the Jesse level.
There's one other thing that annoys me about the game, and it's items. So they've got so clearly Final Fantasy 15 there was a problem with items because they were way too spammable. You could just roll into any fight with like 99 elixirs and win instantly.
That's how you play that game, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
As 7 Remake ties it to ATB, and that kind of causes some death spiraling issues, because if you're in a bad enough state to be needing items, especially Phoenix Downs, you basically can't generate enough ATB to do anything else. And
Yeah,
it just
I
means
very
that,
much agree on this.
That actually is
Yeah.
true. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And the thing that annoys me about this, Namco solved this problem back in the Super Nintendo days, in the Tales series. You just put it on a damn cooldown independent of all the other systems. We've had this problem solved for like 20 years.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think the way they did it is fine. The death spiraling is that's unfortunate. You could just eat the deaths, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let me go and give. I guess my. Are you done, Some Color Mage, or I can give
Yeah.
my. I may have
Like,
many words to say about this game. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake, as I said, is one of the better games Square Enix has made. I think most of what they did to remake it was smart decisions. I have no problem with the Sephiroth boss fight at the end, especially because that's like the best boss in the entire game. That's the one moment where the combat system seemed to finally click for me, and that might actually lead to my real complaint, which is that the combat system didn't really click for me until the very last boss, or until when you're fighting Rufus Shinra. Is the only time I ever finally figured out how to use the parry that Cloud comes with, which seems very important in this game, but it's very weird and unclear. The combat is so far good enough. It gets really bad when there's a lot of enemies on screen because everything will fucking munch you off camera. And that's pretty annoying. You end up in death spiral situations, but eating death sometimes better than using items in this game because death has no consequence. If I have a real complaint, I think most of the new stuff feels like padding to me. Even Barrett's dungeon, because this is more a problem of me having played the original game about 3 times, so I know what every scene is going to be. I played the original game 3 times, I walked through it twice. So I know what every single scene is going to be. Next scene, I know what should be happening. And instead it's like, oh, Barrett's falling down this thing, and I'm like, oh, come on, can we just get going up on Shinra Tower now? I'm like, alright, I know where I need to be next. I have to go through this dumbass Hojo dungeon that does nothing. Oh, we never talked about a very important thing, by the way. In Hojo's dungeon, when you're Tifa and Aerith, you walk past a cage with a dog stuck in it. The dog's barking, he wants to be let out. You can't let the dog out.
But on the other hand, Wedge loves cats, so
you have to kill all the dogs too. I don't like that either. Why do you have to kill so many dogs in Final Fantasy?
Yeah, it's true. Someone really doesn't like dogs in this game.
This game in Final Fantasy 12, you're just killing dogs the entire time.
I mean, have you seen Sora's original concept art? Nomura is clearly a cat person.
He is a cat. Well, Red 13 is a cat lion something. I think that basically sums everything up. I don't know where the story's going. I feel like, honestly, the way it's going to go is it will follow the story pretty much as is, and most of what they added is going to be mystery box misdirection. Though Zack getting thrown in, I have no idea what they're doing with that. Not the slightest clue where that's going or what's going to happen with that.
I think I have a couple things to add to my opinion of the game, if we don't mind, for a little bit.
I'll say it's a good 20-hour game that's 40 hours long.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think in terms of when it comes to padding, I agree with Blue in that it feels like padding because we've played the original and we're familiar with it. So, like, for instance, Collapsed Expressway is a great example.
Oh, I hate that place.
Yeah, where in the original game, it was like, that takes you like 3 minutes to get through.
That's one screen in the original game.
Yeah, it's one screen, and then now it takes about an hour to get through, right? And the problem with it, because having as I replay 7 Remake, it doesn't stick out to me as bad anymore. Because now I am familiar with the 7 Remake version. So I think the problem is more if they're gonna stretch things out from the original, then they have to really add in a lot of character moments and stuff to make that feel like it's worth the payoff. Because when they're adding in new stuff, or like when I was playing through the new stuff, like Barrett's Dungeon, for instance, I'm like, I want to know what happens here. This is really interesting. But when I'm just going through Collapse Expressway, I'm like, yeah, okay, they get through the expressway. Now, how do I see Wall Market? Yeah. So I like agree with that. Yeah, I agree that like it feels like padding to us. So they really like need to execute it better. And I think I think the real like actual problem with it is not so much the concept of stretching it out, but more just that the level design is not that good. Like I think the level design of those sections is kind of bland. It's a linear place where you have a very basic puzzle, and it's just like
back controls of the weird robot hand thing.
Yeah, the robot hand felt like something that was in the original Final Fantasy VII as a minigame that somehow or another they never finished. And somebody's man, I have to get the robot hand in, man. That was my baby back in 1997. We should we earlier talked about Nomura, but we should probably specify that pretty much everybody that worked on the original Final Fantasy VII is back for this one.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, even Motomo Toriyama, who's the executive producer this time? Tabase?
It's like the same people. It's like literally exactly. I think they're even the same original writers, because Nomura didn't actually write the original game.
Yeah.
No, Nojima's the writer.
Yeah, Nojima's the writer. I think they even got Masato Kato back somehow. I don't even know what he's been doing the last 20 years, but... Yeah,
but it's Hiroyuki Ito here.
Yeah. Well, they did get Sakaguchi back. That's the one thing they didn't get. But he barely worked on the original one anyway, so.
In terms of my thoughts on the game, I think like Maximilian Dude, his review kind of resonated most with me, where he said like if I'm analyzing
Maximilian Dude?
What'd you say?
Who's Maximilian Dude? Is he a user?
He's this pretty big YouTuber who had this whole thing where like
he's a big streamer.
Okay.
Yeah, and Square Enix actually like used to refer to his video whenever they were demotivated, like while working on the game, they would refer to his video where he was reacting to the E3 announcement, and that kept them going. So that's how I discovered that. But
that's flattering.
Yeah.
But basically, like Max Dude, like his review was like he said, if I'm analyzing it critically, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. But if I'm analyzing how it impacted me, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. And that's how I feel about it. So if you compare it to like the contemporaries from this generation, so let's say The Witcher 3 and Persona 5, like The Witcher 3 is a better game than this. It's more polished, it's more like thorough, it's a more complete experience. Persona 5 is a better game than this. It's more polished, it's more thorough, etc., etc. But the difference is, I'm not gonna go back and replay those games that much.
Well, those are 100-hour games. So
yeah, I love those games, and I will still have memories of them. But Final Fantasy VII Remake resonated with me a lot more. Like I'm still several months on, still thinking about it, still wanting to go back and replay it. And I can see myself in several years' time still going back and replaying it. Whereas like Persona 5, I'll say it's an excellent game, like you should play it. But Final Fantasy VII Remake will dominate my whole life. So that's kind of where I am with it, where like I really, really like this game.
Well, I don't know if it will dominate my whole life. I just think it's good that there's a good Final Fantasy thing out.
Yeah,
that we can have a Final Fantasy thing and not be suicidal over it. Just not be miserable for once.
Happy out of any time. I think in the Final Fantasy 15 one was like a whole just episode of denial.
That one. I was the one who was like, man, this game's just not very good, guys.
Yeah.
Also, personally, I can't stand the Witcher 3 style of big open game with barely anything to do in it anymore. Like people gave the long narrow hallways shit in the PS3 era. I mean, Final Fantasy 13 was a bad example of it, but it's overall just a better experience because you can actually do shit. Like, it feels like most of the time in the big open games, you're just walking from A to B. They're just voids of nothing.
I think actually the game
that.
you should be comparing Final Fantasy VII Remake to is more something like the new God of War or Uncharted.
Yeah.
It's more of
like an action game.
It's more like a PlayStation cinematic action game. Like there's a scene where Cloud is with Aerith up on the roofs, and I'm like, this is an Uncharted sequence. Like we're just climbing on stuff and talking.
Oh, I love that sequence so much.
That was a great sequence. Yeah. So it's not
Just
really
going
an
back-
RPG in those ways.
I think this game is better than Uncharted. So
I like
going
Uncharted
back-
4 a lot better than this game, but
I
that's
think
fine.
Uncharted 4 Uncharted 4 was arguably, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's been a while since I played Uncharted 4.
Have you played Lost Legacy?
just-
That's like the best
No, I
one.
haven't.
Yeah, Lost Legacy.
Also, like, none of those big open RPGs have anything that ever compares to that Hell House fight. That was fucking brilliant.
Yep. So just going back to a couple of things. When I say this game's going to dominate my life, I mean that because I'm going to be writing pages on the wiki for it forever and ever and ever. So just clarifying that. I'm not expecting that to be a normal person's experience with this game.
Is it quite
It will be
possibly the
done
greatest
just in
game
time
ever
for
made,
part 2 to come out.
Is that the
Until
quote,
then,
quite
and I'm
possibly
going to
the
be
greatest
writing
game ever
pages
made?
for that one. And then the other thing is like going back to 15. Yeah, 100%. When I look back, like that game definitely had like a honeymoon period where people were like, "Oh, you know what? We were expecting this to be terrible, and instead it was decent. So now because it's decent, we're happy." But then, like, of course, it's
Low
only
standards.
decent.
Yeah, we haven't talked about how much better the combat is in Final Fantasy
God,
VII
it's so much
Remake
better.
over 15.
So much better.
Oh, 15's combat is just not good at all. Like I forgot
agree
to
with some
bring
of your
up that
complaints.
this combat is more. It's more a fusion of 15 and 13 than it is Final Fantasy VII
With
original.
elements of 12.
With
right?
those, yeah.
Bit of 12, but it's
little
more
bit.
13 with an action bent, which is
In
what
fact, that's
13
actually-
probably should have been in the first place.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's reminded me of one thing I think they should change for. In fact, let's do a segment on what things we think should change in the next game.
Okay,
Right?
all right, I
The
like
one
that. What do
thing-
we add in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one big thing that I really want them to add for the next game, because if you look at the combat system in this game, it takes elements from all the previous games to an extent. So from 9, it takes the whole weapon system where you like have to get proficiency with the weapon to unlock its ability permanently. From 13, you've got the stagger system and stuff and how the ATB works. And from 15, you've got the fact that it's real-time combat. From 12, you've got the fact that you're controlling one character and you can switch between the others who also have their ATB thing, whatever. But one thing I really want them to take from 12
Gambits?
is the gambit system.
Yeah.
Because
Gambits.
like the thing is, right, I get the idea of the combat where it's like they're encouraging you to switch between the characters because they want you to like play them as you would the original, right? So they want you to switch between the characters because otherwise they're going to be useless. But I personally just want to focus on playing Tifa and comboing with her and beating the shit out of my enemies, and then just be able to set like ATB commands for my other like AI partners. Like I just want to be able to like give them instructions basically, and if I want to take them over, then I can take them over. I want a system like that. So like they included stuff like synergy materia and auto cure materia in this, but that materia is useless because it takes
Yeah,
I knew never to use those.
Those aren't very good. Like,
it takes up a slot that you don't want to use, and it's basically like it's just not very good. I really want them to add gambits to the next game, and that's the one thing that other than changing the aero combat, because the aero combat sucks. That's the one thing I think.
Just don't. You shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think they should add to the next game. And if I'm gonna say another thing that like and this is something else that Max Dude brought up that might be cool for the next game, I'm not 100% on it, is the idea that you take from Final Fantasy X and let you switch out the party members like as it is. So like you're still controlling 3 people, but then you can switch in the other guy like whenever you want. I think that could be interesting because then you get to focus on like the party members having their own like strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah,
so, like,
but then you're gonna need like 7 different materia builds for everybody, and the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna have 3 materia builds, and I'm just gonna put it on whoever's in the party at the moment.
yeah, it was already tricky enough to manage 4 for the ending.
For the Hojo dungeon, you have to switch the materia every time you get the new party. It felt like Final Fantasy VIII.
Okay, so we're saying yes on the Gambit system, which I'm happy about, and maybe on the swapping out party members. So okay, next person.
Some Color Mage, tell me what you want.
Items on an independent cooldown.
Oh yeah, you told us. There you go.
Yeah. Aside from that, yeah, I agree with Techno, and I guess it's technically not a gameplay thing, but give me the other party members as options for the Gold Saucer date. I want to date Sid.
Well, Sid's not going to join before Gold Saucer, so that's.
He does join before the Gold Saucer date.
He could like appear from a dimension and be like, I don't know who any of you people are, but I need to date you. Okay, Scathe, what do you want?
Isn't the date closer to End of Disc 1?
No. Wait, is it the first visit or the second visit to Gold Saucer?
It's the second visit.
Oh, I thought it was the first. Shit. Oh, you're right. You are right. Damn it. All right, this can work, I guess. Scathe, what do you want?
I think there's really just two things I want. One, I really want an in-depth CPR minigame.
You're gonna get that. They've recreated all the minigames, so that's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we also need an in-depth Gold Saucer, 15-hour Gold Saucer level. You're
gonna get it. That's gonna be in there. You're gonna be in Gold Saucer for 20 hours.
They have to add the Tifa and Scarlet slap fight and make it like an actual boss fight this time.
I hope they do that.
20-hour boss fight, 20-hour slap fight.
I really wanted Aerith to have a one-on-one fight with Zong during the Section 7 plate. I'm like, they should have an Aerith boss fight here. Just have Aerith fight, and then they never did it. That's something I'd add to this game.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Skate, did you go through all the things you want?
Yeah, there's one more thing I want. Is I think some of the magic might need to be rebalanced in the next game.
Okay.
I felt like some of the spells, mostly like Arrow and Blizzard, felt like they just missed all the time.
Arrow is fine, but Blizzard sucks. I agree.
There's nothing weak to Blizzard in the entire game. Almost.
Yeah, I think some of the magic just seems useless.
Pretty much everything's weak to lightning and fire just because you're in the Midgar section of the game. That's like, there's not much you can do about that, so I don't know.
Yeah, like all the enemies, the humans are weak to fire, all the robots are weak to lightning, and then the other two elements are, I guess you use the wind against the flying guys, and Blizzard is kind of
use wind against flying enemies. And the other time you use wind is if you're playing like either Cloud or Tifa and you want to bring all the enemies in towards you. So one thing you can do is you can pair wind with Magnify and then suck them all in together and then hit them with like either with Tifa you'd use Dive Kick or with Cloud you'd use like Infinity's End or something ridiculous like that.
I didn't know that worked like that. I just thought all the magic was kind of the same. I don't know.
No, there's like slight difference.
The delay on Blizzard and Arrow is just kind of dumb.
Yeah, there's a weird delay on the spells.
That felt like Final Fantasy XII, how long it took the spells to come out.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the one thing I want most from Final Fantasy VII, and I hope you're listening, Mr. Nomura and all the others, I want a dodge roll that works.
Oh yeah, the dodge roll's pretty good.
The dodge roll, this game, I like this game, all right? But it has the worst dodge roll probably in any video game ever. To the point
the dodge roll in Dirge of Cerberus is better.
Yes, the dodge roll in Dirge of Cerberus is better. To the point that I don't know why there's a dodge roll in this game at all. It is like a beginner's trap. Because you can't dodge pretty much 90% of the things in this game. This game expects you to tank the damage and then just switch to another guy. That's how you do things.
The way you dodge, I don't know because I only play as Tifa, but the way you dodge is you use Focus Strike and Star Shower and you avoid all the damage.
Yeah, there's some moves that like...
way you... That's not even the way you dodge with Tifa, because the way you dodge with Tifa is max out deadly dodge, max out your chi, and then just spam dodge attack like mad. Yeah,
that too, and that's like overpowered as shit. Anyway.
Yeah, this is a game that really wants you to block, and that's something. I'm sorry, I've been playing action games for 20 years now. My immediate instinct is to dodge. It's not to block. All right, I'm not even a Dark Souls guy. I'm a Kingdom Hearts guy, but still, my first move is going to be to dodge away until I figure out your
Kingdom Hearts is dodge roll every day. That game is a good dodge roll.
It also has a good block. I wish the block in this game was as incredibly overpowered, where you take no damage as long as you're blocking, and it goes on forever as long as damage keeps hitting you.
Yeah, I think like one thing I might have like slightly missed from my list of requests is a minor thing because I expect it to happen anyway. Is like every character has their own quest line in Final Fantasy VII, but I think they all need to be like equal this time. So Vincent's quest line shouldn't just be you run in the cave and you get cutscenes. It should be a proper quest line this time on the level of Yuffie's or Barrett's. Tifa needs her own quest line, and I think Cloud's like I think sure you can have Cloud's like subconscious and that can count as a quest line, but I think he still kind of deserves his own, like a dungeon with just him.
I've
also
got another idea. Let Aerith keep the folding chair.
Yeah.
Also, please don't put in the Fort Condor thing in the remake. next game, please don't put that in.
Hey, you know what? Wait. Here's the thing. Fort Condor, that minigame, that was the first MOBA. That's my theory.
Yeah, there you go.
It was the very first MOBA. Square Enix invented it, and it was fucking terrible even back then.
Yep.
And they could keep Fort Condor if they just turn it into the next game's Coliseum, like just have the big final fights there instead of the crappy discount RTS shit.
Wait, no, Fort Condor.
Just play nothing.
Wait, Fort Condor is just an evolution of that scene from Final Fantasy VI in front of the Esper when Kefka sends the army in front of you. So yeah, that was actually the first MOBA. It's got lanes and everything.
You know, it's interesting because like the party swap mechanic from Final Fantasy VI, where like you're in a dungeon and then you switch to the other guys, like they brought that back for the Hojo's dungeon. And even though I don't think the Hojo's dungeon was executed all that well, I do really like the idea of switching between the parties like that.
I feel like that's something they're going to do more because you got to justify having 7 people. Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of it. Like, I just, again, like, I don't think how it was executed was all that well. It kind of, like, drags on a bit.
Oh, that reminds me. Don't make me play as Kate Sith, because I don't want to play as Kate Sith ever.
Oh, you're going to
wait a second. You don't want a 3-hour Kate Sith stealth section?
No, I don't. I don't want nothing. Kate Sith sucks. He sucks in the original Final Fantasy VII. And in this action remake version, what good do you think he's going to be? He's a cat on top of a big fat Moogle thing.
That's the thing, though, is like,
for some reason,
I feel like a lot of characters in the original that you might not have liked that much have been improved this time. So again, like, I mean, I didn't get Cloud at all in the original, but I really liked him now. And one thing I was really surprised about is I'm really excited to meet Yuffie next time. Because again, with the Wutai War stuff they added, I'm really excited to see what she'll bring to the party. I think
she'll be fun to play as.
Discount Yuffie's already in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, with Kyrie.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to actually be Yuffie. That's the twist. She takes her wig off at the end, and it's like, oh.
Nah, she's some character in this book that Nojima wrote called, like, The Lateral Bioturks. She's from that.
Really?
I mean, she's also Orin's daughter after Titus kicked a soccer ball and blew up.
What?
Yeah, the Nochizora guy is also from a novel. Like, The Kids Are Alright, I think.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Lateral Bioturks, Kids Are Alright.
The Kids Are Alright, that movie about like the murders and stuff?
No, not that.
Okay. What is that movie? I can't remember what that movie is. I'm gonna go talk amongst yourselves. I gotta find out what that movie was.
Yeah.
The Kids Are Alright is a movie.
It is a movie.
So yeah, I'm really excited to meet Yuffie next time. I think she's gonna bring a lot to the party. I'm really excited to meet Vincent. I'm curious what they'll do with Sid because they can't really have an abusive relationship again, right?
I mean, they could.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of Kevin is Okay or Raising Kevin. What's that movie? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I actually read the book. I've suddenly forgotten the name.
No, The Kids Are Right.
We need to talk about Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin, yeah. The Kids Are Right is the 2010 comedy drama film starring Annette Bening and Julianne Moore as a same-sex couple.
Okay.
Apparently based on this Final Fantasy VII book.
Yes.
Very strange.
They changed a lot. Final Fantasy VII has been very influential in the culture.
But yeah.
So what are we going to do Spirits of In 2, huh?
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Does this version of Midgard actually take place in New York City, or not?
No. What's going to happen is it's going to end up in Tokyo again, just like Crisis Core, just like not Crisis Core, Chrono Cross and Kingdom Hearts 3. It all goes back to Tokyo.
We're going
Paris
to
is canon
end
in
up
Final
in
Fantasy.
Tokyo, but specifically Drakengard ending Tokyo.
We're going to Paris. We're gonna go to Lightning Paris.
She's in the south of France, though, not Paris. Okay. I think the last thing we wanted to talk about is when do you think Final Fantasy VII 2 is going to happen? So
I already called it.
You called it?
It's February 22nd, 2022.
No, you called it. You called it before we started recording, but
well, I'm calling it now.
Okay, all right, February 22nd. We're gonna go by prices.
02222022.
It's Price is Right rules. Nearest one without going over. That's who wins.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
If I'm gonna offer a serious answer,
yeah.
That's a serious answer. What are you talking about?
Okay. Okay, so if we're going by the rumors recently that Final Fantasy 16 is coming out and some other game by the Luminous Studio is coming out. So the Luminous Studio one is apparently coming out next year, 2021.
Are they using the Luminous engine for that?
Apparently they are.
Jesus, no.
According to the leaks, we don't know yet.
Okay.
And the leaks could probably be bullshit. But so according to rumors, they say that game's coming out 2021. And then they're saying Final Fantasy 16 is coming out 2022-ish. So if we're going by that, and if we're going by the what Square Enix likes to do, where they say we like to have one big release for every financial year, then 7 Remake Part 2 would come out in 2023.
Okay. Some Color Mage, when do you think you're going to have Final Fantasy VII 2 in your hands playing?
Okay. Well, originally I thought, they've got most of their shit together now. They should be able to pump out things quickly, so it would probably be sometime in 2022. But I do also believe at this point that 16 is coming first. Not that I believe those specific rumors, because they said it's like Dark Souls, and that does not fucking mean anything anymore.
Yeah,
but we have
Dark Souls of Final Fantasy.
But we have known that Yoshi P has been working on something big that isn't 14 for a while now. That is looking increasingly more likely to be 16.
Do you think it's going to be MMO?
I think not an MMO, and I think that is going to come first. So I think they're going for 7 Remake Part 2. They're probably going to be aiming for first quarter 2023.
All right.
Which will then get inevitably delayed into second quarter.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2021. I'm just gonna roll the dice on that one, because Jason Schreier actually bet recently that Final Fantasy VII Remake will release in 2021.
Interesting.
Huh. Okay.
This is on his podcast. They do bets on predictions, so he can't actually know that. That's against the rules for you to put something down that you know about. But he seems to know something, maybe.
That's a confident bet for someone who knows nothing.
It's hard, yeah. You gotta know nothing, but Jason Schreier knows everything. So.
Okay.
Jason Schreier will cancel Final Fantasy VII too.
Yeah.
Well, Final Fantasy VII 2, and then we get Zack Returns. Final Fantasy VII is the third game.
Of course.
Dirge of Cerberus.
And 3 instead.
It's Dirge of Cerberus, but this time it's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, what do you think they're gonna call it? They won't call it Final Fantasy VII Remake 2. There's no way. What do you think is gonna be the real, actual the name?
I think they're gonna call it Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be something crazy.
You think there's gonna be a subtitle?
Final Fantasy VII Remake, little dash, Birth by Sleep dash, a fragmentary passage, 0.2.
Depending on how far the Part 2 gets, I can imagine Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
Yeah, or Rebirth, or something like that.
Final Fantasy VII, you cannot remake.
Final Fantasy VII, ridiculous.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, Midgar Zolom. Ah!
Final Fantasy VII, the one where you can learn beta.
Final Fantasy VII King Vermin. There we go.
Right.
I think just they'll have a subtitle for all of them now, and that's gonna be how it works. But anyway, so one last thing I want to bring up before we wrap up, is how the open world is gonna work for the next games. And some people have speculated that it's gonna be like Dragon Quest XI. Now, I have not played Dragon Quest XI yet.
It's
So
good.
That's like Final Fantasy 12, the way that world.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy 12. Yeah.
Okay, so people think it's gonna be like the zones kind of thing, and it'll be like that. But then you'll be able to fly your airship over them or something.
You eventually get a fast travel. You can teleport. And you get a boat.
Okay.
And a parade.
Oh, what about Rufus Parade level? I'm ready for some Rufus Parade level.
That's
ready
definitely
for that
happening.
Rufus theme. I'm ready for that Rufus theme for like actually 10 hours. Literally 10 hours.
It was in Final Fantasy IX.
It
was.
Yeah.
So people think they're gonna do like basically a 12 kind of zone system, because I can see that happening.
I think it's gonna be like this game. It's gonna be very linear-ish.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's going to just be a more controlled experience up until maybe the point where we'd get the high wind in the original game.
But that's not going to happen until Final Fantasy VII 3. I don't know if we're ever going to get the big open world Final Fantasy VII experience in this project.
I think you will.
Again, the airship will probably be a menu just like it is in most modern Final Fantasies, but
except not Final Fantasy 15. We got a real airship, except it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like, do you remember in Metal Gear Solid 5? There's a giant robot that they included that you never can actually use because it was like just bad and apparently just trash. And they never finished it.
Basically like they added it in. Right, and it was going to be used for multiplayer. It was too overpowered, so they like scrapped it.
Yeah, so that's what the airship in Final Fantasy 15 is like. It's like this thing that's like, this is nowhere near done. We can't put this in the game. It is broken to all fuck. It's like, let's throw it in there. Why not? It'll look good in the trailer.
It's like it's the end of the game anyway, right? You don't even get it. It's like you get it for a post game to fly to the terrible platforming dungeon that takes 4 hours. Anyway, this game is much better than Final Fantasy 15. In like 2 years, or when did the game come out? Like 3 years ago? 4 years ago? It came out a while ago.
It came out 5 years ago.
It really came out 5 years. Okay.
I think it was was it a 2015 game?
No, it was 2016, and it was at the very end.
4 years ago.
Okay. 4 years from now, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Part 1.02, -3. This game will still be good.
Skate, do you remember when we saw the Final Fantasy 15 movie?
Yes, that was terrible.
It was terrible. It really was.
Oh god, King Dave was so bad.
All right, let's hope
we were one of the 5 people to ever see that movie in a theater.
Hopefully,
like 10 of us in there.
The Diamond Weapon in 7 Remake Part whatever does not look as shit as it does in King's Claim.
Okay. How many? I have a question. I have a question we can actually end this on. Because we're just going at this point. We'll never end at this moment. How many games are going to be in Final Fantasy VII Remake?
I think at a most 4, but I think 3 would be a good number to round it on.
I think 3 is that makes the most sense, but that means they're going to do 6.
Yeah, I think they're pushing it if they think they can make this go on for 4 parts, because people do forget that Disc 2 and 3 are nowhere near as long as Disc 1. Like, Disc 2 of the original game was overloaded with FMVs, and Disc 3 is just a single dungeon.
I mean, Disc 2 is just huge material side quests, basically.
Yeah, but like...
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, in terms of, like, actual playtime, like, Midgar might only be 5 to 10 hours long in the original, but in terms of, like, a number of scripted events, it's actually a huge amount of it.
I've been thinking about how much stuff you actually do in the original Final Fantasy VII and the pace this game goes at. I think there's going to be 5 games. I'm going to throw that one out there. We're going to be here until 2032.
I can imagine. But the thing is, like the huge material side quests, you could make those so much longer. I mean, there's like a crazy runaway train section. You go into space at one point.
You do, yeah. You could have a whole game in space.
Yeah, and again, I really want them to like add more quest lines for people.
And then there's the whole Zack thing, wherever that's going.
In original Final Fantasy VII, you go to space for like 30 minutes. I bet they would make it at least in a whole game. You need to build your spaceship, suit up, drink your tea, go to space.
I feel like we're gonna like transition over to Zack in the next game several times. It's gonna be like Laguna in Final Fantasy VIII, or the last season of Lost or something.
Like, I think it's entirely possible that Zack is going to like meet up with Avalanche, because that's the other thing. Avalanche survives the fall of Sector 7, and
allegedly, maybe
one of them does.
One of them does,
yeah.
Biggs is still Biggs is explicitly alive. Wedge is ambiguous because the time goes through him out a window in a fit of rage. Jesse, who the fuck knows?
Oh, how have we gone this whole time? We haven't mentioned Jesse.
We mentioned Jesse's side quest. Jesse's ridiculous in this game.
We went nearly an hour and a half without talking about the horniest thing in this game. That's amazing.
Yeah, Jesse is the best new thing next to Roche.
Okay, we did also just talk about Roche, who's obviously the second best thing.
Yes.
In this game.
There's a lot of strong, aggressive...
The second horniest things in the game.
There's a lot of strong, aggressive, gay energy focused at Cloud in this game. Mostly from Sephiroth and Roche, but also from everybody else.
I love Roche because he's in the game for literally 15 minutes. But yet... And there's no point for him to be in the game at all, and yet it's a great addition. I don't know what to say.
And he is so deeply horny for Cloud. It is crazy.
Yeah, so I think if Cloud does get his own quest line in the future games like I want, then it should revolve around him beating Roche.
Date Roche.
Date Roche, there you go.
Yeah, Roche could be like a good foil for Cloud's character later on. I think
I hope Roche just shows up in other vehicle sections. Like, we have the snowboarding section, and then Roche just somehow
snowmobile,
Roche, but he's on his motorcycle going down the thing still. It doesn't matter where they are.
Snowboard.
Yeah, he'll be on the boat, and he'll have the motorcycle.
He's in space with you as well. He's just blasting off into space on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, Final Fantasy VII Remake is very good. It's a very strong start to a series.
In conclusion, Aerith hits somebody over the head with a chair, and that's only the second best moment for her in that hour of the game, because the best moment is when she sees Cloud in the dress, and she is so in love in that moment.
Oh yeah. Oh, that whole side quest. Oh, I loved it so much. And then they had the best
good in this game.
I mean that sequence of events where both Aerith and also Chadley, if you talk to him while in the dress, both discover that they had a side of their sexuality they never encountered before.
That's actually what I want in the next game. Cloud never takes the dress off. It's just an option.
Cloud in the dress.
Yeah, it's just an option.
Cloud dress. There you go.
No one ever brings it up. It doesn't need to be like a thing, but like Cloud's wearing the dress. That's who he is now.
So
yeah.
In conclusion, this is a new age of horny, and we are its observers.
Yes. Final Fantasy VII Remake says trans rights. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.